Last time we saw a 9 seed reach the Final Four, Wichita State in 2013. Only 3 9 seeds have ever reached the Final Four since seeding began in 1979, and they are one of those 3, and the first Conference USA team to reach the Final Four since Memphis in 2008. I'm talking about Florida Atlantic, and the head coach of the Owls joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show, fresh off of making the Final Four, Dusty May. Good to speak with you, Coach. Congrats on the run you're on.
It's great to be on, Rich. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. What's going through your mind right now?
Well, logistically, we just have a lot going on. So we're sorting through the media and all that. It's uncharted waters for us. So just trying to figure out logistically what to do next, and then turn our page back to San Diego State.
Well, I appreciate you throwing us into the media hopper as well.
You guys are at the top of the list.
I appreciate you saying that. Forget about logistics and all that business, but for you personally, what's going through your brain right now, Coach?
The way I'm wired, it's always on to the next. The security or whatever, I'm always thinking of the future. I'm always in the moment, but I'm never thinking about the moment. So as long as we have another game, I can't think about or really dwell on what we've done. Now, when we landed yesterday late evening, I looked at my wife and said, are we really playing in the Final Four in Houston on Saturday? So about once a day, I'll throw that out to a staff member. Have we really won 15 straight games? Is this right? And then we laugh, and then we move on to the playing in practice or going to weight room or whatever the case. So it's just the way that it seems like we're all kind of wired like that, where you don't see a lot of celebrating amongst ourselves. We expect to do great things, and we have high standards. So I think that those things have all contributed to us kind of staying even keeled.
But I also know, I've been around coaches for a long time, Dusty, and I also just know coaches who are married. It's a partnership. And it's a long journey that if you have a spouse, a partner go along with you, that this is just as big for the spouse and partner as well. We've just met. I don't know how long you've been with your wife, but this must be mind-blowing for her as well, Coach.
Well, Rich, not to get off track, but she was my girlfriend in 4th grade. We dated off and on all through junior high, through high school. And so, yeah, we've been best friends since elementary school. And I moved her all over the country, uprooted our family time and time again to chase this dream. So it's kind of like watching your players cut down the net because you know what all they put into it.
Yep.
I'm not excited. I'm just elated to see them going through this together. And that was the best part of it for me personally, was just seeing my wife and 3 sons just embracing this moment because they're the ones that have had to endure the hardest parts.
Well, for me, this is not off track. This is completely on track. How old are your children? How old are the kids?
21, 19, and 17.
Dude. Ooh. Okay. So you've been in this fight for a while.
Yes.
You've been in this.
I was living in L.A., working at USC under Henry Bibby when my wife got pregnant, and then they multiplied. So, yeah, we were young parents trying to figure it out, and I think my oldest son was 7 when he'd lived in 6 states. So
wow.
The life of a coach.
It is the life of a coach. Why did you get on this path to begin with? Coach?
I always wanted to be a high school basketball coach. I played Division II 1 year and ran cross country and decided I wanted to be a coach. So I went and volunteered as a student manager at IU under Bobby Knight because I thought I would be able to get a varsity coaching position in the state of Indiana out of college. That was my goal. That's what I was chasing. And after I was there a year or two, one of the assistant coaches asked me, are you going to coach? And I said, yes. And he said, college or high school? And I said, I can coach college. Me? I have no connections to the game. Nothing but strong work ethic and a love of the game. And he said, yeah. And so he rattled off what some of the other guys were doing at that time, what Lawrence Frank was doing, guys like that. Mm-hmm. So I immediately changed my major from education to history and went from shadowing teachers to skipping class and taking the assistant coaches on recruiting trips, coaching AAU in the summer, and chasing this dream.
What a story, Dusty May. I'm assuming Bob Knight didn't interview you personally for the student manager job, right? Somebody else did that.
But I had a personal connection with the team doctor, Dr. Larry Rink, who's also one of Coach Knight's best friends. So I had an in, and Dr. Rink was telling me that I would have a position. And so it was known that as long as I interviewed well with the group, with Tim Garl, who's his trainer, who did everything for him, then I would be fine. So I was confident that I was going to have a spot.
Not to go all Caddyshack on you here, but is it a true story you mowed the lawn of that doctor? Is that the true story, Coach?
old friend from the Navy. They served together in the Navy.
Yeah.
That's who I worked for, and I did all of his land. His name's Dave Rutherford, and he's actually just relocated to Boca and follows our team religiously. But I cut his grass. I took care of his pool. I did his landscaping. I did everything you could imagine that he needed done. I did it. And then Dr. Rink at times would need extra work done around his house. So Dave would say, hey, Dusty does great work. So Dr. Rink would hire me for this or that. And so I knew him, and he would go to our games, and I think he appreciated the way I played and how much passion and the energy I tried to carry myself with. And he thought me going to work for Coach Knight would be great for my career because he knew I wanted to coach. So it's all true.
So, and before we hit the here and now then, and I know this is a dicey question because we're on live radio and television right now. Do you remember the first interaction you had with Bob Knight when he first saw you, looked at you, and you're just strolling around as a student manager? Can you tell that story, Coach?
I don't remember the first time I saw Coach Knight. I remember the first time I walked into Assembly Hall on the court, and I still have goosebumps thinking about that moment. Being a small town Indiana kid and Indiana basketball, to me and our family in our area was the pinnacle. That was it. I mean, that was basketball. So I just remember the first time I saw him, just thinking how enormous and intimidating he was and is. And so, I don't remember the first time, but I do remember that's what I was thinking the first time I saw him.
Dusty May, Florida Atlantic University head coach, here on the Rich Eisen Show after making the Final Four. First time this team's ever won a game in a tournament, this program, and they've won 4 in a row. Joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, again, you think of a Conference USA team that's, and I understand you're moving conferences, but, ninth seed. You think, maybe they've got one terrific player and a bunch of role players that are scrappy and pulling together, but your team is really deep and really talented and really tough and can absolutely win this thing. How does one build a program at Florida Atlantic? I know that's a large macro question, but walk me through how you've built this thing, Coach May.
Well, in year one, when I took the job 5 years ago, we ended up through that spring with 10 open scholarships. And I think we had 7 official visits that weren't used already, and we had 0 recruiting days to leave campus. We borrowed 2 days from the following year. The NCAA let us borrow 2 days from the next season so I could go watch some local players. Mike Forrest, who's been with us for 5 years, was one of those guys. Mm-hmm. We ended up piecing together a really good team in year one with the 10 signees and then 3 holdovers that we really liked and became close with. And so we had a good team and then had 3 starters go down with season-ending injuries at one point over the first 2 months after we started out maybe 9-3. We won at Illinois. We won at UCF the year Taco Fall was there, and they almost beat Duke in the tournament. So we had a good team in year one, but because there was a few grad transfers and whatnot, we had to basically rebuild in year two after we ended up with a solid year one because of the transfers. And then we have this group of 4 players that came in during the COVID year, Nick Boyd, Elijah Martin, John L. Davis, and Giancarlo Rosado. Mm-hmm. And they're as close of a group as I've ever. These guys are truly family. If you said they're cousins or brothers by blood, I would believe you. And they all work incredibly hard. They're all extremely intelligent. So they brought all the winning intangibles to our group, and now those guys are the core, the foundation, the leaders of our team. So as they've gotten older and got better as players and improved, now because of their leadership and they're really good players, they've really taken over our locker room, and then all the other guys are just like them, where they're great people that can hold each other accountable. They're self-aware. So we just have a really nice winning mix.
And, I read as well, Coach, that your team emerged after the Sweet 16 victory to celebrate with family members in the stands at Madison Square Garden, and security members were saying that this is not allowable. Did that really happen after you guys won your Sweet 16 contest, Coach?
It did, and Rich, our circles are pretty tight. This is all new to us, and by nature, I'm very private. My family, we keep to ourselves. We're homebodies. We appreciated the anonymity of living in Boca, where you see NBA players, you see movie stars. I mean, you might see Oprah down the street. Who knows? So we enjoyed that, and now that's all gone. So that's been the only downside of this run. But, yeah, our players wanted to go in the stands and celebrate with their friends and family, the ones that were here with us,
right,
when things weren't so sunny.
And then, of course, your anonymity is also gone as a real deal program here. Is it true that your players are currently being recruited by other schools during your tournament run to say essentially what? You should come to us once you're done with this Cinderella story? Is that basically what's happening, Coach?
Rich, that's not a story. That's the culture of our game right now, and I'm not accusing any other schools, but there's a lot of third parties. There's other people that have a lot to gain by getting kids to switch schools, and it's no one's fault. It's part of the climate, and I'm not complaining about it. It was a question where, without a doubt, there's probably players on every single roster being at least minimally recruited, and let's say we're the Twitter generation. Our players are being subtweeted at all the time, as players are at every school. If a player's at a big time school and he's not playing, then people are putting out feelers to him. Well, it's different at our level, where those feelers are sometimes made up numbers or made up this by third parties trying to get them into this portal and then orchestrate where they get next. So it's not something that's rare. It's not talked about. I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah.
If it is what it is, and we love our guys, and it's our job to provide the best environment for them long term. And if they trust that and believe it, then they'll stay. If not, then we'll support them in what they do next.
Well, I mean, and one way to show everybody, certainly within your own program, is to win this damn thing. Just go to Houston and win 2 more. Seriously, right?
Why not? I can't see any reason why we shouldn't. That shouldn't be our expectation.
Right, and you're going there. And one other thing too, I must assume, and I know what that might mean. Coach Dusty May, Florida Atlantic here on the Rich Eisen Show, is clearly a Final Four is a big stage, and there'll be a big run up to it. But cutting down nets in Madison Square Garden is what one would call a pinnacle. I mean, that is, and I know there's more to climb. But that might help your kids not be phased about what's coming. I mean, this is Madison Square Garden. You cut down a net in, Coach. That's pretty amazing.
I can't imagine our guys being phased by anything once the ball's tipped. They love to compete. They love to play basketball, and they really trust and believe in each other. So it gives us a lot of confidence when we go into these environments that we don't have to be our best every night, because it's not as if we have one leading scorer and we're relying on him to carry us. We have any one of about 9 different guys that can lead us in scoring on any given night.
And last couple for you here, Dusty May of Florida Atlantic here on the Rich Eisen Show. I did see Coach Tang of Kansas State come into your locker room and give a message to your kids to say, essentially, attaboy, keep going. Do you know Coach Tang? Is it the first interaction you've had with him? Or were you surprised that he came in? What's your take on that, Coach?
I wasn't surprised. I've seen that a lot. I've seen Coach K do that to locker rooms before. One of my mentors, Mike Davis, did that to our team earlier this year, and and it really he gave our guys confidence. We say he believed in us before we believed in us. He told our guys in November. Mike Davis used to coach at Indiana to play for a national championship game. He's a coach at Detroit Mercy. We played them early in the season, and after we played them, he came in the locker room and told our players he felt like we had a Final Four team, that he hadn't seen a group of guys play how we played in a long time, and we'll be one of about 5 true teams where no one cares about the credit, the spotlight, that they're just playing for all the right reasons. He felt like at that time we were probably one of 5 true teams in all of college basketball, and if we didn't change, if we didn't let outside voices and influences get in our locker room, then we'd have a chance to play in the Final Four. And our players are looking at me saying, Coach, who are you bringing in here to talk to us? What's going on? So we laugh now and say he saw it in us way before we saw it in us.
Amazing. All right, Coach, I appreciate the time. And last one for you before I let you hit the road. I'm sorry. I know this is completely off the radar, but you're the one who mentioned it, and this has nothing to do with basketball. Oprah? She's what was that? You said Oprah? You sometimes see Oprah around town?
No, she has a house in Palm Beach County. We obviously have slides that we show to recruits where Michael Jordan and Bill Gates and Oprah, they all have a house in our county. But yeah, you never know who you're going to bump into in Palm Beach County.
Okay, so I mean, can we invite her to Houston? You want to put tickets out there? I mean, wouldn't that be great?
That would be awesome. She would definitely get the red carpet if she wore an owl shirt.
Or she could be, I don't know if you heard before we let you on, we have somebody whose nickname of their bracket is called Crazed Owls, who chose Florida Atlantic to win it all, could win our Rich Eisen Show tournament pool. Could be her.
Wow.
You never know.
That's a regular fan that picked us.
It could be that, or it could be Oprah. Either way, I'm going to update you on that, and you update me on your doings. How does that sound?
Perfect. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks for the time, Coach. Congrats on the run so far, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
Definitely. I appreciate it.
You got it. That's Dusty May, head basketball coach of Florida Atlantic University. What a story. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.